My friend, thank you for joining us for this Operation Greatness, Freeing the Matrix Parasite Cleansed, Focused Wealth Immersion Action Pod number 69. This is spiritual war for your soul and for the earth. You, you determine who wins. Saving us is why you chose to embody now. This is real. This is heavy. This is serious. Nothing matters more than this. I'm getting chills here just reflecting on this. Are you feeling this as well? There's a lot of context here. Every part of this matters. I want you to really be still, be attentive, focus on this, contemplate this, consider this, see this, and see your role in winning this war. So let's start talking about the context here. I'm going to share with you a post that I made on Twitter, I was sharing a post that came from Facebook, and that had different layers in it. Okay, so we're going to talk about all this. So I posted this yesterday. Okay, so I'm just going to read this to you. If you're watching this, if you're leading your own Operation Greatness chapter in your community, then you'll see the video of this. And that is how you would have the greatest impact on the most people, leading your community to winning this war. And this is all, oh, by the way, do this through our freeingthematrix.com mastermind. We're all doing this together here. This is so hugely, well, I mean, the fate of the earth and your soul is on the line here. Is anything more important than that? Well, your children's soul, you might say, is as important as that as well. And anyway, we're doing this through our freeingthematrix.com mastermind. So talk about all aspects of this there. That's at freeingthematrix.com. Okay, let me read this to you. Okay, so this is what I posted on Twitter. My friend, this is required reading for every one of us. We must talk openly about this and accept the undeniable fact that all who perpetuated this evil at least did the work of evil. Okay, this is in the context of the I don't even know if we can still say it. I think we can now, but that might change because, the censorship is off the rails. And anyway, we have to be careful about how we present all of this. Let's just put it that way. Because, well, okay, so let's just get right into this. Are you ready? And I want you to at least hear this with an open mind and then make your own conclusions about this. Will you do that? Is that fair? And because I'm going to ask you, I think it's required of every one of us to be mindful of this, recognize that it's happening, and then take the action appropriate for every one of us. Which to me, there is only one option, and that's for all of us to step up, to own our power, and to lead our communities in rallying every one of us. Because, I mean, like I said in our logo here, saving us in this war for the heart and soul of the earth and humanity and all life on our planet is on this is up for discussion here. This is the fruits of this war. Are we going to win or are we going to lose? Is there any option other than winning? And that happens by every one of us stepping up, focusing our power, concentrating our focus, and coming together as the human race because your power is beyond measure. you owning your power, you stepping into your power is required for us to win. And this is the big battle. And you chose to embody as spirit into a human form, into the physical world for this war. Totally real here. Totally real. You sense that, you know that, you feel that, you trust that. You have your own inner truth detection system. You know what's right and what's not. And yes, you can see how sincere I am if you're watching this, and you can hear that in my voice. You can feel that. So step up, own your power, focus and concentrate your power, and win this war for humanity and for Mother Earth, and for your children and for their children and for theirs and theirs and theirs and theirs and theirs. Is there anything more important than all of us doing this? So even right here, you're going to share this action pod number 69. This is spiritual war for your soul and the earth. You determine who wins. You're going to share this. You're going to lead every one of your online friends through doing this themselves and through bringing all of their online friends into doing this for all of their friends, with all of their friends. This is everyone on the planet stepping up now and coming together as our human family, and we're all talking about this. And think of the think of this as our HQ, our headquarters is the freeingthematrix.com mastermind. This is where we're all talking about this. We're all sharing the posts that we're making as we are leading, inspiring, transforming, and yes, liberating every one of our online friends. No one left behind through our freeingthematrix.com mastermind. So go there now and talk about everything that we're talking about here. And this is where you're sharing, this is where you're opening up, you're sharing your fears, your concerns, you're sharing your inner knowing that this is why you are here. You all have always known, maybe since you were a young child, that you're here for something really significant. This is it. Is there any question about that? Because this is the war for humanity and the war to save planet Earth. And anyway, let's get right into it. So pause and reflect on each point here. Share your thoughts and feelings about each point here as separate posts among all of your social media friends, everyone connected with you, all of whom you can very quickly, easily reach with almost no time, energy, thought, or effort. And in each of your posts, use your invite people link that you got on the About tab when you joined us in our freeingthematrix.com mastermind. Very important because this is also liberational for every one of us. This is financial freedom money. Every one of your online friends, you're handing them the keys to the kingdom where they can become financially free by doing the work required of every one of us in being of greater service to every one of us. So as they're leading, inspiring, transforming, and liberating every one of their friends, that's financial freedom money for you. And you're giving them the power to help all of their friends, to lead all of their friends in becoming financially free as well as spiritually free. So nothing matters more than all of us doing this together, and we're doing that through the freeingthematrix.com mastermind. And especially if you're leading your Operation Greatness chapter in your community as well. So, so let's go back to this Twitter post here. Okay, so the context here was, well, we'll see this shortly. This is about the the thing that the bioweapon that people were coerced, manipulated, deceived into injecting into themselves, and then how many millions of parents even forced it to be injected in their children. And so we must talk openly about this and accept the undeniable fact that all who perpetuated this evil at least did the work of evil, and yet we're looking at the question, are they evil people or were they just manipulated? Anyone still part of this system of evil at this point has to know they're doing the work of evil. Can someone good do the work of evil? This is too important to just ignore, deny, repress. Let's go into full detail about it in our freeingthematrix.com mastermind, where we're all here to serve and support each other. Read all the subsections surrounding this and do your homework listed below. We must also now dismantle the systems that made this assault on humanity possible. Is there any question about that? Also, as we're talking about all of this, make sure that you are staying in your center, in your power, connected with God, the infinite, unlimited, omnipresent, which I call God. I mean, God is like a finger pointing in the direction of something which is beyond the mind's ability to understand, and yet stay in your center, stay in your lane, stay in your power as we're talking about all this. Don't give any more of your attention to fear. We all did more than a lifetime worth of that already. Is that fair? So keep your frequency high right here as well. You might want to become parasite cleansed also. That's another subset of our freeingthematrix.com mastermind, along with Operation Greatness. That's how you stop poisoning yourself and you help others stop poisoning themselves, because the systems of oppression were designed to keep you unaware of your power and disconnected and divided and distracted. So this was posted on Facebook by a woman named Viola Marie Rose. She's, well, let's not go into that too much. You might want to read that on my Twitter feed, X, where I am at Daniel Klatt. Well, yeah, I guess we do have to read some of this here. Okay, she's saying, I have read Thomas Meyer's book, which is called COVID Vaccines from a Spiritual Perspective, Consequences for the Soul and Spirit and for Life After Death. That's the title of the book. And also followed along with all of Bernhard's research on this subject over the last few years, which is also linked at the bottom of this post. Okay, this is a fascinating subject of utmost importance and worth considering it. You participated out of your desire to do good, and yet are perhaps feeling off center, more empty inside, and less connected to your spirit. Anyway, she's saying that the, well, this whole conversation, I'm kind of reading it but summarizing it at the same time. It's pretty long. All of this is kind of long. This conversation should not be taboo. It is worth bringing it to light to consider. I do work with people in a deep and spiritual way with my Awakening the Illumined Heart workshop, spiritual counseling, healing sessions. I have noticed that it can be more challenging for some folks who participated in those medical treatments to, quote, get there or get back to themselves or get reconnected to the divine, but it is not impossible, especially if they can see what the block is. I will encourage anyone with a sincere desire to get there, and as it is possible, bless us all. Okay, so then she's quoting Thomas More, I think from this book she mentioned. It is important for me to emphasize that this is not about ideology, but about about empirical perception and truth seeking. Science and spiritual research are always an open process of the search for truth. Notice anyone who says follow the science, that's just following the anti-family, anti-humanity agenda. This is me sharing this. I'm not reading what she wrote here. Because that was a complete manipulation. That was a fraud. That was a betrayal of humanity. You know that, right? That was just of evil, right? So this is back to what Meyer, is quoting, what she's sharing of what Thomas Meyer shared. It must not be driven for or by personal preferences. The aim is not to stimulate negative emotions, but to present research results in a sober and comprehensible way, and to point out ways out of the impasse. But ways out can only be found through understanding. That is why there is no way around taking a detailed look at vaccines, which I would call bioweapons, and their effects, even if the results are unpleasant. It is not a, quote, harmless jab, but about a powerful impulse to initiate a change in the human body so that it is damaged in its basic evolutionary function as the vehicle for the soul spiritual being of man. This impulse can also block human beings' existence after death. That's how important this conversation is. That's why this is the spiritual war for your soul and for the earth. We're going to connect some more dots here. So, I mean, this is all incredibly vital for every one of us to see, to recognize, and to stop this war, to defeat this enemy once and for all. And we're doing that together in our freeingthematrix.com mastermind. So let's continue with the passage from this book. In this respect, it really is about the fundamental question of the future of mankind. Do we want to become a kind of human machine, or do we want to remain soul spiritual beings? Remember, you are the one who is choosing the winner of this spiritual battle. Continuing the quote, it transpires that the four main corona vaccines, Pfizer, BioNTech, Moderna, AstraZeneca, and Johnson & Johnson in the Western countries, taken as a whole, are a strong attack on the physical body and the energy body. Through this attack, these bodies can become unreachable, blocked, for the higher members of the supersensible human being. In other words, if you're aware of that you have an energy body, and how many people even have that awareness, likewise, the angel and the body elemental being can be pushed aside. As a result, in the afterlife, this can lead to the condition of being chained to earth and a very long suffering for the deceased. I mean, check your own discernment here. Does this feel accurate to you? Does this feel truthful to you? Is this something important for you to consider, to contemplate, to recognize, to ask yourself, is this true or false? I mean, use your own due diligence and discernment, right or wrong, true or false, in all of this, including the manipulation to take the bioweapon. Of course, I'm continuing the reading here. Of course, the effect varies from person to person. there are people who can cope with the side effects of these vaccines and even transform them to a great extent. The situation is not hopeless. I experience again and again that lofty spiritual beings look at the corona crisis and vaccinations with calmness and confidence. Make sure you are one of those who are at peace in your center, in your power, in all of this. This is me sharing that part. Now back to this quote. It is a trial from which, in the long run, much good can come, even if today it is overwhelming for most people. We can yet grow from the corona inoculations, only we must approach this spiritual confrontation with sufficient activity. This is equally true for the unvaccinated as well as for the vaccinated. Okay, so then that's the end of the quote from this book, or Thomas, the author of that book. And then this is posted on Facebook. It was posted by Bernhard Gunther, and she made reference to that in her remarks that we saw earlier, or read earlier, considered earlier. Okay, so posted by Bernhard Gunther. If you consider yourself an energy healer and want to help, read this entire post and its resources, not just Naomi's tweet. We'll look at that shortly. Otherwise, you may take something on you are not equipped to handle. More and more people are starting to notice this, but most are still stuck on the physical symptoms without considering the deeper spiritual consequences of the COVID vaccines. Ultimately, the COVID vaccine, this is the really important part here. So really listen to this. This is from this Mr. Gunther, I believe is his name. Is that right? Bernhard Gunther. Ultimately, the COVID vaccine is a black magic spiritual weapon, not just a quote bio weapon. The physical effects and what people call vaccine injuries, including the spike protein, are symptoms of non-physical processes that affect the energy body, the soul, and the spirit, which then manifest as physical issues, including in some cases the death of the body. How many sudden death cases have we seen? How many, what's that called, myocarditis that didn't even exist before people injected themselves with poison? However, to continue the quote from Mr. Gunther, the real effects are on the afterlife and the soul itself, which gets dislodged from the body, leading to a diminishment of life force. The vaccines also contain, quote, vaccine beings, entities that attach to the human being. As the soul gets pushed out more, the energetic rupture of the ether body, the energetic body is what I would call that, to continue the quote, creates entry points for soratic, Soratic. It means evil, according to what I could find. I didn't find much about that word even. It creates entry points for soratic entities to enter. This is the alien invasion through our bodies, end quote, and ties directly into the transhumanism agenda. Just for me to interject here, do you know about the transhumanist movement? Like Bill Gates is a big eugenicist, which means he believes there are too many people on the planet and we must remove 400, what did he want to kill? No, only allow like 400 million people to live. That's why he's been pushing this whole vaccine thing. And I mean, yet, well, the transhumanist agenda, if you don't know about the World Economic Forum and the 2030 agenda, make sure that you're aware of that because their vision is that humans are not human anymore. They're all connected via the cloud and controlled by the elite. They call themselves elites. They're parasites, they're predators, they're Satanists, they're globalists, they're communists, they're evil. We're going to talk more about that in this conversation. So, anyway, that's the transhumanist agenda. You don't have free will anymore. You're completely controlled by your connection with AI. And AI is a big part of that because how disconnected have we already become from the dumbing device? That was the agent of disconnection. Did you know, for example, this is why becoming parasite cleansed is so critical, and we're doing that together through our freeingthematrix.com mastermind. I mean, that's an option for you to become parasite cleansed. If you want to remove the toxic programming in your mind, in your body, in your heart, in your spirit, become parasite cleansed. Nothing matters more than this for every one of us to do. You recognize that, right? You're awake and aware, at least to that extent already, right? Because you're intelligent, because you're a critical thinker, because you're not complying, because you're not a sheeple, because you're an aware, intelligent, caring, conscious, mindful person, human, and because you care about what happens to our family, our human family. I'm getting chills just reflecting on this myself. Are you feeling this as well? Because you're here for this very war to step up and win this war and stop this evil. Plain and simple. It's that. So step into your power, own your power. You are the leader the world has needed. Own that power and be that leader. Is there anything more important than this? No, of course not. This is vital. This is why you are on the planet now. So step up, own your power, become fearless, and work with us all in the freeingthematrix.com mastermind and lead your community through winning this war as well. This requires all of us, every one of us, and it's happening by you doing this yourself and right here leading all your online friends through doing this for themselves. Going back to Mr. Gunther's message on Twitter, it is a massive and far-reaching topic that will be extremely difficult for the average materialistic doctor or anyone stuck in a purely materialistic biological view of life and reality to even begin to consider. Before dismissing it out of hand or making premature conclusions, generalizations, or assumptions, I recommend looking into and reading and listening to these resources below. Important to note, the articles, podcast, and Meyer's book also cover how people can be helped, and it is not new age woo-woo stuff or just doing Reiki or, quote, sending love, a physical detox or other general, quote, energy work. This is important too. Going back to Mr. Gunther's words, it requires an understanding of black magic and how to handle hostile, adverse forces with the support of divine forces. People are already offering all kinds of, quote, healing without really understanding what they are dealing with. This is spiritual warfare. Plenty of examples of healers taking on these entities themselves while trying to help. See articles for more knowledge. See articles for more, period. Knowledge protects ignorance and dangers. And then go read my post. I posted this on Twitter and on Facebook as well. So he's listing articles like COVID vaccines, consequences for the soul, spirit, and life after death. And that's a pretty long link, which I don't even see without clicking on the link. mRNA vaccines, transhumanism, and the battle for our souls. There's another article. These are on a website called veilofreality.com. And then there's a podcast mentioned here, Vaccines, Entities, and Earthbound Spirits, The Spiritual Battle for Humanity with Thomas Meyer. That was from 2025. That's also linked from this website, veilofreality.com. COVID Vaccines from a Spiritual Perspective with Thomas Meyer, 2023. It's also on that same website. And then the book, COVID Vaccines from a Spiritual Perspective, Consequences for the Soul and Spirit and for the Life After Death, and for Life After Death by Thomas Meyer. And that's on Amazon, Thomas Meyer, COVID Vaccines from a Spiritual Perspective, Consequences for the Soul and Spirit and for Life After Death is the title of that. And then this image was mentioned by maybe Mr. Gunther, I think it was, which is I'm showing it on the video. If you're watching the video here, if you're leading your own Operation Greatness chapter as part of our freeingthematrix.com, you will see the video for this action pod number 69. This is from Dr. Naomi Wolf. I've considered her a respectful leader in the truth movement, in the freedom fighting community. So Miss Dr. Naomi Wolf is sharing, this is her post that had, what, 70,000 views when this post, a screenshot was taken of her post. She said, I have a horrible feeling that many vaccinated people, actually think about this yourself as you're considering this, do you see this yourself? She says, I have a horrible feeling that many vaccinated people will never fully recover their heart energy. Do you know what I mean? That warm glow you used to get from heart to heart hugging of people is diminished with some vaccinated people to a brief flicker, much fainter life force, she's asking. Energy healers, does anyone work to heal this in your experiences? Does anything work to heal this from your experience, in your experience? That's what Dr. Naomi Wolf is asking us to consider. So that's a lot to take in, and yet let's look at this in a deeper, broader context because this is hugely important. Okay, so let's go back to, if you're watching the video, I'm going back to our image, our logo for this action pod number 69. This is spiritual war for your soul and the earth. You determine who wins. Saving us is why you chose to embody now. Okay, so now let's connect this with a broader awareness. Let's look at a different context here. Okay, so you know who Rudolf Steiner was? He is the founder of, I believe he's the founder of the Theosophical Society, and he was linked with the mystery schools, and he created the Waldorf schools. He was a leading philosopher, leader in, I think, the late 1800s up until maybe the 1940s, maybe 1950s. So he was involved with the mystery schools. He was, let's call it, part of the keepers of the truth. And Mr. Rudolf Steiner talks about an astral being named Ahriman. I mean, this is out there, and yet I want you to recognize this because this is part of this spiritual war for our souls and for humanity. I mean, for the planet, for the Earth's evolution. Okay, so Rudolf Steiner talks about in many of his books this astral being named Ahriman that attached itself to the Earth. So let's just have another context here as a point of reference, point of information. If you're seeing the video, you're seeing that I have like three fingers that I'm holding out, and the gross is the most dense. That's the physical world, and yet the gross is created by the astral world. The astral creates the gross, the physical. The astral is the level of your thinking. For most people, that's the lower astral, and the higher astral, this is esoteric, metaphysical teaching. You could say it's occult teaching, and yet it's critical for this conversation. So I want you to understand at least the basic fundamentals here. So you're thinking, like I've taught the book Think and Grow Rich at the master's level since 2003, and consider that people have told me that they don't think they could get more out of Think and Grow Rich by even sitting across from Napoleon Hill himself than they can from me. I understand this stuff very well, and it's important that you understand this at least to this extent to understand this broader conversation here. So, the astral creates the physical. There is the higher astral and there is the lower astral. The lower astral is like your thinking and analytical mind, like the chatter in the back of your head, and people are trained to get stuck in the lower astral, in the thinking and analytical, by using the dumbing device, by using the computer. And by the way, I started to mention this earlier and I forgot to, I guess I lost my train of thought there. Did you know that the TV set, your television set, it's called television programming for a very specific reason? Did you know that the television set was a military weapon? It was created to program people so that they're more compliant, more trainable, more programmable by the forces of darkness controlling most of the systems. I mean, like organized religion, organized government, organized science. My pastor at my church calls those three things, religion, government, and science, the unholy trinity. And that's a deep contemplation. We might want to do a separate podcast on that. We've kind of made reference to it in a few, maybe maybe this is the second time, I don't know. Anyway, because it's about control, it's about oppression, it's about disconnecting people from their power, which is beyond measure, because you are here to allow God to work through you so that God is blessing the world through your life. That's why you are here. You are God's instrument for miracles on the planet, after all, because you are God's gift to the world. And that's how you're here to live. That's why you chose to embody at this time as spirit into the physical form. Well, anyway, so there's lower astral and there's higher astral. Lower astral is like greed, power, lust, control. That's you could say that's even like the hell regions are in the lower astral, and that's what had dominated the earth for thousands and thousands of years. That's a deep contemplation for you to make as well. And then there's the higher astral. That's like awe, wonder, beauty, love, joy, bliss, happiness, fulfillment, purpose. That's where we're meant to live. I mean, we're not supposed to give ourselves to the lower emotions because that's taking us down. We're supposed to elevate ourselves and each other. That's why we are all here, to be that inspiration for everyone else and to elevate the whole planet, right? I'm getting chills just feeling that. So the astral creates the physical world. You think, therefore you are, right? Everything, I mean, it's all very subtle, and yet there's so much more in the unseen than there is in the seen. I hope you have that recognition. And if you're lost in the dumbing device, well, that's disconnection from life, from your purpose, from your power. And AI is just making that even more exponentially disconnected, causing us to even disconnect. Like, remember we talked about in that passage where we're quoting from, we were considering, we were recognizing, it talks about what? Well, it's being disconnected, like your soul is disconnected from your body, from the shot. And I mean, how much have we already disconnected from our purpose, from our focus, from our power, from God, from each other? Where, I mean, how many people just live their whole lives in the dumbing device and they think the virtual is real? There's nothing real about the virtual, it's disconnected. And that's what made us so weak, so that look how far we devolved, digressed, just since the bioweapon. I mean, since this weapon was released on humanity that was created in a bioweapons lab, the coronavirus, and all of these forces of evil took over our freedom, and it was about tyranny, oppression. Anyway, so getting back to, okay, so that's the astral, which the lower or the higher astral, and all of these forces of evil are in the lower astral, of course, because they couldn't be in the higher, because that would transcend the evil into good, into awe, wonder, joy, beauty. And we're meant to live in the higher astral, except when we become more focused and more evolved and more conscious and aware, then we enter the causal realm, which is the highest level of mind. The causal is what creates the astral, which is what creates the gross, the physical world. So that's enough of an understanding of how that works. You reach as high as you can go by focus and awareness and the work, doing the work on yourself, turning your attention within you, not looking out here, because out here in the physical world is a distraction. You're keeping your focus in your center, in your power within yourself. And the astral, I mean, the physical world is just the effect you created by where you are giving your attention, how you are using your power to create everything you want. The outer world is just the effect of where you are choosing to give your power through your focus, through your attention. So here, use your power to create unity, peace, love, self-empowerment, prosperity for every one of us. So let's do this right now, even. Let's join in humanity's unifying manifestation. Your power is beyond measure, and come into your power, come into your center right now. We're going to create this together. Every one of us is creating this right here and now. Our power is beyond measure. Together, we've helped 1.72 billion people become very wealthy, living their Dharma through freeingthematrix.com and Operation Greatness. This is the greatest thing we have ever done and the higher purpose of all of our lives. See that as whole and complete. Feel that. This is where you are giving your power in the lower, or at least, at least the lower, and hopefully in the higher astral plane, you're using your power and creating this result. Our power is beyond measure. Together, we've helped 1.72 billion people, 1.72 billion people become very wealthy, living their Dharma through freeingthematrix.com and Operation Greatness. This is the greatest thing we've ever done and the higher purpose of all of our lives. See that, feel that, own that. This is why you are here on the planet. It's part of why you are here on the planet. And this is happening just by, remember when I asked you from the beginning to pause and share your posts about each of the points in this Operation Greatness Action Pod number 69? By you leading all of your online friends, who are then leading all of their online friends, We are transforming the whole of humanity. We're saving planet Earth. We're liberating our human race. That's just, for example, by you getting just 1,200 of your online friends, except get all of your online friends because no one left behind, because this is the battle for humanity and the earth. And you choose the winner. You decide which side wins. Is it good or is it evil? Is it God or is it Satan? You decide that by your actions right here, by you leading, inspiring, transforming, and liberating every one of us on the planet, by you getting your 1,200 people doing this with their 1,200 people. That's 1,440,000 people who are doing this with their 1,200 people. That's 1.72 billion people. So see that result. You have gotten all of your online friends leading all of their online friends who are leading all of theirs, and we have liberated humanity as a result of that. Is anything more important than that? Of course not. This is the most important work every one of us has ever done. This is why you are on the planet now at this time. You know that, you feel that, you trust that, so live that, create that. Own your power, keep your center, keep your focus on serving humanity, on being God's gift to the world, and liberate humanity, save the earth and all aspects of life on the earth. So we were talking about Ahriman, this lower astral being, attached itself. This is from the teachings of Rudolf Steiner. He talked about this in, I think, the 1930s, and somehow this astral being named Ahriman attached itself, it's almost like surrounded the earth with his lower astral energy and affected the natural evolution of the earth. There are those who have said, and I believe correctly, you can intuit this yourself, that the computer itself, the personal computer, was a device that was given by, I mean, some people say, well, let's back up a minute. There are also those who say that since, like the time of the pyramids, there have been advanced technologies on the earth, and the time of Atlantis, even before that, and the time of Lemuria before that, there were advanced technologies, and yet, like in the time of Atlantis, greed ruled over goodness in the use of these technologies, and we destroyed ourselves. The Atlanteans, because they were hungry for power, because the forces of evil overruled the forces of good, and now we're seeing that repeating itself with AI and with, the dumbing device and with these forces of darkness controlling the systems. Anyway, it's been said, think of the yin and yang, right? The good versus evil or light versus darkness. If that's in balance, there is harmony. But if evil oversteps its bounds, like what we've been seeing, especially since March of 2020, since the COVID fraud began, evil has been too greedy. I mean, okay, so let's back up a moment as well. There are those who have said that ET races have worked with only a small group of people to control the masses of the earth, of humans, and that they've been feeding off of our fear and just keeping us in poverty, unaware of our power for thousands and thousands of years. I believe that this is another way of looking at this Ahriman astral being. And I mean, how does an astral force influence physical bodies? By working in their minds, by controlling, by seducing people who are weak and susceptible to greed and corruption and power lust. And I mean, like Bill Gates is the prime example I think of myself, of somebody who's doing nefarious deeds. He's doing the work of evil for power, greed, corruption, control, and oppression, and to because he has these, it's from ignorance, it's from ego, which is of not God. I mean, ego means not God. So people who are in their heads, yes, they might be intelligent intellectually, and yet they're devoid of spiritual awareness, insight, knowledge, truth, wisdom, and they're doing the work of evil. And anyway, I mean, so these forces who have ruled the human race, like George Soros, Bill Gates, evil, the parasites, the predators, I call them parasites, they call themselves the elite. There's nothing good about them. They're just about oppression, control, greed, lust. I mean, the whole Epstein Island class of people, of degenerates, of parasites, predators, they're evil. The people behind the child trafficking. I mean, Bill Gates was a good friend of Epstein, or I don't know about good friend, but the videos show what he did to all of these children, and there's no way that he should be allowed to be in any influence, any position of power in the world. I mean, he's been a strong advocate for geoengineering, the poisoning of our atmosphere, the destruction of our planet. And anyway, it's up to us to stop these forces of darkness, of evil. So, going back to Ahriman, how do we even talk about this? This is such an important conversation, and yet every one of us needs to know about this. What if you are here on the planet to own your power, to come back into your center and to stay in your center and to never leave your center, to never step out of your power and get distracted by the dumbing device, by AI, which even takes that disconnection exponentially greater because people are then even outsourcing their thinking. They're dumbing themselves down where they can't even think for themselves anymore. And you're staying in your center, in your power, and you're owning your power. Your power is beyond measure. You're focusing your power. And you are here to save humanity. That's why you chose to be here during this historic, unprecedented, monumental turning point in human history for this war, this spiritual war for your soul and for the earth. You determine who wins, and so you became that leader, that inspired visionary leader of everyone connected with you. You made sure that all of your online friends, no one left behind, all of your online friends went and joined us in this battle through our freeinthematrix.com mastermind, and especially through you leading your own Operation Greatness chapter in your community, and you became parasite cleansed yourself, meaning you removed the negative programming from the bioweapon, from all of the weapons of mass manipulation, like the TV, like the dumbing device, like movies, like music, like the indoctrination system that we call the education system. You removed all of the programming. You stopped poisoning yourself. You removed all the toxins within your body, mind, and soul. And you became the leader, making sure everyone in your community and all your online friends are removing all of the poison in their body and their mind and their spirit as well, and are that inspired leader of all of their online friends and their local communities. And all of us stepped up and we came together as our human family and we gave none of our power to these lower astral beings of evil. And instead, we liberated humanity. And that, my friend, is why you are here on the planet. That's why you chose, as an infinite expression of God, unlimited spirit, to put some of your consciousness into this little body because you were here to be part of the action, to step up and be that leader that is your destiny to be. You've always felt and known you're here for something big. You didn't know what that was before because Think about it, like for you to be infinite and unlimited, and yet to put yourself into this very limited physical shell, this, they call it a meat bag, right? You had to forget most of who you are, most of your power. You had to, it didn't fit into this limited consciousness of this body. I mean, yes, your mind is infinite and connected to the full power of you as the infinite, unlimited you are. Anyway, I mean, how is this connecting for you? Do you recognize that you have to do this? Be that person who is transforming the lives of every one of your online friends and everyone in your local area? Well, is there any question about what your next step is? Go back to the beginning if you haven't been doing this of this podcast, Action Pod number 69. This is the spiritual war for your soul and the earth. You determine who wins, so make sure that God wins, that humanity wins, that the earth wins. So going back to this Ahriman, just to share, just to complete that visual, if you want, think of like the earth as this, like I'm making a little circle in my hand, my right hand, and think of this Ahriman being as attaching itself to the earth and attempting to prevent the earth from evolving and all life on the planet from evolving. And it's up to every one of us to stop Ahriman, to stop this evil force. I mean, you could think of this as being what Satan really is, or Lucifer, what evil really is. And it's up to us to align with good and to keep our power within ourselves and to develop ourselves, to raise our consciousness, to evolve our consciousness, raise our frequency, our vibration, because there is no limit to how powerful you are by you focusing your power, by you using your power, by you staying connected within yourself, within your connection with God. And you do that just by breathing in the prana that surrounds you every moment of your life. Breathe in God, breathe out love. Breathe in God, breathe out love. Every breath I take, with every breath I take, I am breathing in God and I am breathing out love. I am being of greater service to more people. This is why you are here, right? This is your power. You using your power and you keeping your focus on love, on God, on serving, on abundance, prosperity, love, unity, opportunity, awe, wonder, higher astral. You're moving yourself into the higher astral, if not into the causal realm, where you are exponentially more powerful than in the higher astral realm. You're doing the work on yourself. You're not limiting yourself. All that programming, you were programmed to play small, to not believe you matter, to not think you are worthy or deserving of love, success, happiness, fulfillment, wealth. All of that was an evil program. That was a fraud. It was a complete lie. That was the programming of Ahriman to keep you down, to keep you from evolving. Because Ahriman wanted to siphon off and steal your power and to keep you small. That was like an antivirus in the collective consciousness of humanity. And none of that is real. All of that was false. And now we're owning our power because nothing can stop us when we are remaining in our power. I'm feeling chills just from that. You're feeling that as well, right? Because this is truth. This is you stepping into and owning your power and not letting anything get you off track. Not the dumbing device. That's not more powerful than you are. That's not your God. And yet, where you're giving your attention is where you're giving your power. And that's becoming what you worship. We just did a show on that. I think it was, I don't know, yesterday or the day before. So look for that if you didn't see that yet. All of these, I mean, our Operation Greatness podcasts are here to uplift you, elevate you, make you aware of how infinitely powerful you are because you are God's gift to the world after all. So this is the time for every one of us to come together, to own our power and to command our destiny and to remove this parasite, this evil from our planet because all life on the planet is dependent on every one of us stepping into our power and stopping this force and removing it. And we're doing that by raising our frequency, by adding my power to your power, to everyone connected with you, to their power, to everyone connected with them, to their power, and all of us staying in our power, working in unison to stop the parasites, to remove them from the earth and from our evolution and from all life on the planet. No more feeding off of us. I mean, think of a parasite sucking on your life force. When you block that sucking of your life force, when you stop that parasite from feeding off you, that parasite has no choice but to leave, to go somewhere else, to feed off of another planet, right? That's what is required of every one of us now. Any questions about any of this? Talk about all of this in our freeingthematrix.com mastermind. Make sure you are leading your own Operation Greatness chapter in your local area, as well as among all your online friends. This is how you are transforming the most people and doing the most good and contributing the most meaningfully to everyone. Well, actually, by leading them through this action pod number 69 by all of your posts. And take all of your posts, and in every post, remember you're using your invite people link that you got on the About tab in our freeingthematrix.com mastermind, because your 1,200 people, just as a for instance, except don't limit yourself to your 1,200 people, get all of your online friends doing this right now, right here, because nothing matters more than every one of us doing this, as you know, right now. If by you getting 1,200 people who are getting their 1,200, who are getting theirs, you've transformed the lives of 1.72 billion people. And your 1,200 people, through your invite people link, all of them joining us in our freeingthematrix.com mastermind through you, that would be worth $35,400 to you every month that they're with us. I mean, but through your Operation Greatness chapter, you're getting $998.50 for everyone joining that through your link. So that times 1,200 dollars. I mean, 1,200 people doing that, leading their own Operation Greatness chapters. I don't know what that is, but if it was, instead of $998.50 per person, if it was $1,000 per person, that would be $1.2 million by 1,200 people doing that through your link. And Parasite Cleansed is the same way. You're getting the same amount, $998.50 per person, doing that through your link. So that would be 1,200 people there. It would be another almost $1.2 million. Anyway, I mean, this is financial freedom money for every one of us. And this is the work every one of us is required to do now. So make sure all of your online friends are doing this right now through your link. What was most meaningful for you in all of this? How are you now seeing how much more powerful you are than you ever imagined you were? How are you staying within your power? How are you doing the work required of every one of us now on the planet? Because this is spiritual war for your soul and for the earth, and you determine the winner. Saving us is why you chose to be here on the planet now. This is the most important work you have ever done. This is the higher purpose of your life, and it's the higher purpose of every one of our lives. It's why we're all connected. So take action. Lead every one of your online friends through joining us in the freeingthematrix.com mastermind. Lead your Operation Greatness chapter in your community, as well as among all your online friends. Become Parasite Cleansed yourself. This is your calling. This is why you are here, alive, right now. So be that leader the world needs now. We're all working together and supporting you in having the full impact it is your destiny to have on liberating the earth and everyone in our human family. Take all the posts that you've been making since the beginning of this Operation Greatness Action Pod number 69. Put them into the essay that you're sending me, including where you're talking about how inspired you are now, how much more you know you are powerful, and the actions that you take, and how great you feel about yourself, and how much you know you truly matter. Put that in the essay that you're sending me, dan@danklatt.com, and then post that essay. Share that with us all in the freeingthematrix.com mastermind. Nothing matters more than all of us working together and winning this war. You know that, you feel that, you trust that, and now you are that inspired visionary leader every one of us has needed. Now you are that person liberating humanity. Do that now. Nothing matters more than all of us making this priority number one. You know that, you feel that, you trust that, and now you're doing that. This is the most honorable thing you've ever done. This is your greatest contribution by far to the world, to the earth, and to everything on the earth. All life has been liberated because of you. This is your ultimate gift to the world. Thank you. I love you. I believe in you. I know how much you matter. I know you were born for this moment. Thank you for living this and saving humanity and the earth. Thank you, thank you, thank you.